right? Parashat Noach. There's a little bit of a different format than what we used to, because I try to make it very practical as much as I can to our days. It's something that we can take. We always think that the stories of the Torah is just like a recorded events of something that happened, some kind of a written history or whatever you want to call it. But this is completely far off from what it really is and what it really was meant to be. Whatever happened back then has direct implications to what we have our days today with us as well. That's no doubt about it. So that's why this shiur, by the way, is dedicated Le'ilu Nishmat Shabbatai Ben Flora Kohen. I made it a little different, more of like points that we can take home with us, so they say. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God says to Noach, Bo el haTevah, come to the ark, right? Mm-hmm. We know that, by the way, every time it says bo, it means don't just come to someone, but rather go inside. So really, Bo el haTevah, go inside of the Tevah. So on the surface, it means that, Noach built this giant boat like they have in Kentucky somewhere over there, and it just went on this mega cruise yacht over there for whatever amount of time. However, Chazal, and among them, the Baal Shem Tov, a darshan, lo rak teva shel etz, not just a boat made out of wood that what the pasuk is trying to tell us. We know that the word teva in Hebrew exactly also refers to the word a word, W-O-R-D, word, right? Tevot, milim, and so on and so forth. In other words, the Torah comes to tell us here when God says to Noach, Bo el haTevah, in a way, as God told Moshe Rabbeinu, Bo el Paro. In other words, when Kadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe, Bo el Paro, it doesn't mean just go visit, say hi to Paro, give him a high five, and ask him what's going on. Bo into his mentality, enter his mentality, try to think as he thinks. Try to see his word from his point of view. And that's many times the mistake that we make in the West today, that we think that the whole entire world looks at the world the way that we do it. And this is such a mistake. Every time we do it, we fail. The United States, by the way, is an expert on making these mistakes. The world doesn't understand how, for example, Muslims think, or how everybody thinks that we are all sharing the same thing. Yippee-ki-yay, everything is good. Kumbaya, it's all together. It's not. You have to enter his head. You have to enter his persona. You have to see the world from his point of view. Only then you can understand him. If there is a way to bridge the gap, you could bridge the gap this way, or actually win him if you can't. Otherwise, you can't. So, when it says, come, enter, Bo el haTevah, in other words, enter your own words. What does it mean, enter your own words? Let your speech, let the word itself become a place of refuge, not just a form of expression. Today, words lost their meaning. I mean, what do I mean when words lost their meaning? Everybody talks and they talk too much. The word genocide. It's like the nonsense that people are saying today. And then everybody else, listen, I guess that's because the school system fails in giving the people appropriate standards in language, in their own basic language. That's I guess the problem. ESL failed. Now, also the same thing in terms of, when I was young, right, and I grew up, I knew that the word of a person is sacred. If you said to somebody, give me your word, that was it. There was no need to sign anything. There was no need to write anything. And that's it. You gave me your word. You gave me your word. You don't go back on your words. In other words, put meaning into your word. Let your words be meaning. Just like, because today everybody talks and talks and talks. Everybody's talking and nobody hears anybody saying. So come into the refuge of your own words. Enter your words. And we'll see exactly later, Bezrat Hashem, what it means. According to Kabbalah, when the flood came, so have this in mind. When the flood came, that symbolizes to us a tsunami of materialistic awareness. That's just exactly like we have today. An endless influx of flow of information, of fear, of desires, of confusions that really threaten to sink your neshama down, to sink your soul down. Today could not be more true than that. Today we live with endless amount of information, tremendous fears and anxieties all over the place like never before. Desires are out of control. By the way, one of the things is that we know what was the punishment of the mabul? Because the Gemara tells us, the Gemara is amazing. Chazal are amazing. Chazal are not these cruel people that want to control you. On the contrary, they do something for us because of their great love and concern to us. And that's called boundaries. When the world was created, God said to the world, basically, expand. And everything was in a mode of expansion, including all the waters of the world. And the water, which are considered to be chesed, right, kindness and mercy, threatened to overflow the world. Until God introduces the word Shaddai to this world, the Gemara says, Shaddai she'amar le'olamo dai. She'amar le'olamo dai, he tells, up to here. I mean, think about it. Did you ever think about the fact, take some more, there's plenty. Everybody ever thought about the fact, why is it that the ocean always stops at the shore? If you went to the beach, right? Of course, when you're allowed to go to the beach, right? How come the water doesn't just keep on flowing endlessly?
They made a pact.
What?
They made a pact with
Hashem said, enough, up to here. In other words, God gave the world boundaries. When people lost their boundaries in terms of how they're going to do things, they lost morality. It's all about Hamas. Hamas means not just this organization in Gaza, those wicked people, but they appropriately named themselves. Hamas means oppression, corruption, murder, killing. That's what Hamas means in Hebrew. Appropriately, they named themselves that. You did not have any boundaries. God says, hey, not a problem. In other words, as they say, I don't like the word karma, but the karma of the world is measure against measure. What does it mean? Whatever you put into the world, that's what you get from the world. What you put in, that's what you're going to get. Imagine this wall, that you have a wall, right? That you think that there's nobody around you, and you take all your garbage and you pour it to the other neighbor that takes your garbage, and his garbage pours to the other neighbor, that pours it to the other neighbor, that pours it into you. Whatever you put into the world, you get. You really really want to be selfish and really have a good time? Not a problem. If you want to take care of yourself, don't be destructive. Don't speak lashon hara. Don't say bad things about people. Don't be ungrateful. Don't do all these things. And then the world will take care of you. Smile to the world. The world will smile at you. That's the way it works. You guys had no boundaries. God said, okay, not a problem. I'm taking the name of Hashem out, and then the water will go back to the initial stage, and they're going to overflow the world. That's what it is. Why a flood? Because of that. We are today in a state of a flood as well. And look, the same things that they did back then, we do it today. Same thing. And we got to be careful. And that's what comes to Torah and tells the story of Noach. I mean, I'm sure there were other stories about Noach, wonderful things and interesting gossip and so on and so forth. And at the time, whatever tabloids they had at the time. But We don't know much about this guy. We just know what the Torah tells us because there is a lesson for us to learn and to apply to our life as well. So now, how do you deal with such a flood? It's very simple. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Noach? Come to the Tevah. Go back into your ark. Go back to your words. Now, what is the Tevah? The Tevah is this, what we call Tefillah, or what Rav Aryeh Kaplan says, Tefillah is the Jewish concept equivalent of meditation. Not saying hum, right? Is to using the words as a meditative form, which should bring you to a state of internal quiet, internal calmness, internal harmony. How do you do so? By praying. And how does it happen? What exactly happens that becomes my refuge? Because that is a secluded area that the person really protects not only his divine spark that is inside of him, but creates a zone that is interrupted. Now all of a sudden the halacha, I mean, that's why I said to you, I wrote 6 pages about it, and I had to and I realized that if I'm going to talk about those 6 pages, it's going to take me a week. But I cannot really stop myself from doing that because, let me tell you, all of a sudden the halacha in Orach Chaim, in the Shulchan Aruch, that a person is in the middle of Shmona Esrei, even the king of the Jews, King David comes. Say, yo, homie, what's up? How's everything? You don't answer him. Afilu Melech Israel ba. Why is that? Because that's your protected zone. That only you and God are in that zone. That's it. And how do you do so? You're creating this word. The words mean something. So if you're davening, if you're in the middle of tefillah, do yourself a favor. Put this thing away. Don't deal with this. Create that zone. If chas v'shalom to say, I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but if a person is going to be intimate with his wife, I would not be surprised if he'll say, excuse me, honey, just 1 second. Let me just go 1 second. Let me go on my phone. I just got a text. The refuge, the true refuge is that. And that applies to the refuge also of the word that you create in terms of your learning. Your learning should also be sacred, should also be displaced. As the Gemara tells us, the Chazal tells us, Pagashta be'oto menuval, you find this wicked entity, mashcheu lebet hamikdash, bet hamidrash. You found the Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination, which represent all your areas of lost control. How do you gain control back? Bring it to Bet HaMidrash. Come and learn. Become educated. Create this sacred zone. That's why in Bet Midrash, learning has to be taking place. As long as you're involved in learning, it doesn't make a difference. If you learn Halacha, you learn Gemara, you learn Kabbalah, you learn Midrash, but that's a sacred zone. That's a sacred time. If you are not capable of doing that, your loss is enormous. That is the time that you say, excuse me, I am dead. I don't exist right now. It's sacred. That's how you prevent that flood from coming. What? You want to take more? Take more. Now, if we're going to look at the name of this week's hero, right? His name is Noach, right? Noach means
pleasant.
If you take the letter, besides the gematria, okay, so it's nach also, rest, but it's also the word chen. Chen means grace. Sheker achen, hevel hayofi, right? But he was grace. In other words, if a person is able to reach this level of Noach means comfort, in other words, in this quiet inside, to feel comfortable with the quiet inside of you, right? Is in a state of internal equilibrium.
Mindful.
What?
Mindful.
Mindful sounds a little bit too much like Wen Buddhism. You know what Wen Buddhism is? You don't know? And no. There's Wen Buddhism. Very interesting concept. Do a search later on. I think it's WAN, Wen Buddhism. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, it's a very interesting concept. But in that state of mindfulness, right, for lack of better terms, all of a sudden, motzeh chen b'nei Elokim ve'adam. Because Noach matzah chen b'nei Elokim ve'adam. Why? What does it mean? Whatever he did, people liked him and God liked him. Because if you're in a state of chaos, internal chaos, you're going to feel agitated, and people are going to find you agitated. They're not going to gravitate towards you. People say, listen, do me a favor. Just put some space between. I can't take this. You're irritating me. You want people to gravitate towards you. It's not by assuming power or trying to control people. It's internal strength that comes. The light comes from inside out. That's what it is. That's how you need to do it. People would like you. People would if you're in a state of internal calmness and harmony, people are going to gravitate towards you like moth to a light. Shidduchim. Why? What are the reasons I think shidduchim are so difficult today? To get married in the Jewish world is very difficult because we're in such a state of internal chaos. We're not equal. We don't feel, calm inside. And that, in a way, creates right away a rejection. It's like taking magnets out of opposite poles and just put them together. They're just going to go away. It does not happen. You need to be the magnet in which you draw the metal towards you, but not opposing. When you have two negatives of the magnet, what will happen? They're not going to be able to connect. That's exactly it. Our world around us is chaotic. Things are happening and so on and so forth. In order for you to survive, you got to be the calm. As they say, you're like a hurricane. There is calm in your eyes. There is a chaos outside, but in your eyes. Why? Because the eyes are the gateway to the soul. In your eyes, calmness should reflect. It doesn't mean that you're going to sit down now at the top of the Himalayas and meditate and I don't know, smoke over there, whatever you need to smoke, the marijuana and light your menorah and whatever the holy diet. We're not talking about that. That's not the way we do things. The world outside is the chaos, but we become the beacon of light. How? By being calm. A good commander in time of battle is the commander that is able to keep his calm, even though he's afraid also. I mean, a commander, if the bullets and missiles and who knows what's going on there, he's afraid also. If not afraid, he's a fool. But he let this fear not paralyze him. He needs the fear motivate him. How? By keeping calm, by radiating calmness to everybody around him. It's okay, relax, let's see what happens. Because through that chaos, more mistakes and more harm can happen. Just like a person that will go into, let's say there's a stampede. Somebody needs to come and say, hey, listen guys, relax. Okay, if we are going to run out towards the door, not only we're not going to be able to get out of the door, we're going to hurt one another. So guys, let's make a column, one after the other, like they do in fire drills in school. Let's do it and you become the commander. That's what we need to do. If you're not going to do it, now whether it's going to be with you and your friends, you and your wife, you and your parents, anybody, you need to be the source of calmness. You need to be the rock. I am the rock. I am the island. Once somebody told me a very powerful meditation. Is a meditation of meditating a rock in the middle of the ocean when waves are coming in like this, and it's a very powerful meditation. Allah Shalom, my teacher Chaim Sober taught me that. It's a very powerful meditation, extremely powerful meditation for internal strength and calmness. Are you able to do it? Unfortunately, we don't teach our children to do so. Unfortunately, we expose our kids in a very irresponsible way to chaos. That's why I'm saying stop listening to the news. Everybody is running. Oh, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Okay, so excuse me. Let's see what can we do. Just stop with this craziness. In our generation, the flood is not water, as I told you before. The flood is information. We have so much information that we become simply dumb. We have so much information we can't even process it. Too much information. TMI. The world is flooded with content, right? With noise, with filters, with barriers, with opinions. Everybody today has an opinion about something. It doesn't make it if he doesn't know a word what he's saying. Means nothing, but he has an opinion about something. Everybody is so opinionated, entitled. And then what happened? Because of that, society deteriorates. A person does not drown in water, but today we are drowning in what we call in Hebrew Heseh Hadat. Heseh Hadat, lack of ability to concentrate, to focus. You're going to tell me, well, that's called ADHD. I'm going to tell you, it's not. It's not. You need to learn how to take something and finish from beginning to an end.
It comes with stress also.
Excuse me?
Inability to focus comes from stress also.
Stress, you're right. But I thought you said something else. Yeah, where's the stress coming from? From lack of ability to really assess the situation. We don't teach our children to assess. We put a lot of pressure on them without providing them with the proper tools and skills to deal with it. I thought you said from trust, and I said, well, that's a great idea, because absolutely true. We don't learn and teach each other how to trust one another, because we are teaching, Adam le Adam kelev. A man to a man is a dog. We teach people, our children, not to be compassionate and to help. We teach them to be better than the other one, better than the other one. Why do you care about the other one? If you are always trying to be better than somebody else, you're never going to be better than somebody else, because you're always going to be number two, because he's going to always determine what you're going to do. Whatever he does, he does. Hashem yivarech oto. God bless him. Let him do whatever he wants. Why do I have to compete with him? Let me do it my own way. If you want to be selfish in this matter. Always competing with the other one. He got an A, I got an A plus. Oh, my son got an A. The other no one got an A plus. Let me send him to an academy after school. Let me put more pressure on him. Oh, my son went to this yeshiva. Oh my goodness, my neighbor went to a better yeshiva. Let me take him out. Let me put him there. It doesn't fit. That doesn't make a difference. And then it becomes to us. Even in Avodat Hashem, the chumrah, the stringencies that we take upon ourselves, it's not because we really want to feel close to God. It's because we want to impress. Because He puts tchelet, I'm going to put pig. Craziness. And then what we become? Absolutely restless, disharmonious, completely. So what we have is called Heseach Hadat. We can concentrate on anything. Multitask. You eat, you answer your phone, you watch Instagram, and over there you're also doing OnlyFans on the side also. No, but one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Just stop with this. I'm going to tell you something. I used to drink coffee. I mean, I still do drink coffee. But I used to drink coffee. I used to drink a lot of coffee. And I came here. I thought, whatever brands, I don't want to mention them. I don't have a lawsuit. It's good coffee. And then I start to say, no, it's drink better coffee, better coffee, better coffee. And the better the coffee I drink, the less coffee I drink. And the longer it takes me to make. I make my coffee, and I learned how to make coffee from the Japanese. The way they make coffee, it's ridiculous. I've been sending you some stuff on how they make the coffee. And I'll tell you something, it sure makes a difference in the quality of coffee I drink. And I drink some, and it really makes a lot of sense how they do it, and it's unbelievable. Learn how to do something right. Learn how to do something good, one thing at a time. Always quality over quantity. And it doesn't make a difference if you're making coffee, or you're learning Gemara, or you have a yeshiva with Talmidim, or you have children, or quality over quantity. It takes you much further than that. I'm actually enjoying every sip of coffee I take. It's unbelievable. And it's not instant. Instant, no such thing. Instant for somebody else. Not for me. I want to take my time. I want to enjoy everything I do. I want to put meaning in every action I do. And I want to understand why I do it. So now, if a person hears this and understands that, the commandment, come to Tevah, takes a totally different meaning. The concept of come to Tevah comes, build yourself an awareness arc. A Tevah, an awareness of arc, a space of quiet, of learning, of prayer, of breathing. If a person is going to be able to keep this awareness of Noach all the time, not only he's going to survive the flood, but also might be able to find new dry land within it. In other words, you're going to find a lot of space within yourself. How are we doing with batteries over here?
Good.
We're good? Okay. So let's go a little bit further into that, which of course I'm not going to be able to finish everything I want to do. All right. So in the concept of Noach, we know there have two stages of the tikkun, of the repair. The Zohar teaches us that Noach was tzaddik to himself, but right, he was by himself. He was a tzaddik, was a righteous person, but he did not pray for his generation. One of the Mefarshim says the reason, he gives the reason why he sends the crow first and not the dove, right? Well, first of all, the reason why he sent the crow is because the crow is able to detect land from much further out. The crow flies straight and is able to detect land from 200 kilometers away.
It was a crow?
It was a crow. Orev,
A black.
a raven, a crow is the same thing. It's basically. So, and every seaman at the time used to take crows with him, because if I know that the crow is not coming back, it means that land is 200 kilometers further into that. However, Adam Mefarshim says, no. The reason why he took the crow is because he was trying to send a message to God. Because the crow in ancient culture refers to something who is not merciful to his children and so on and so forth. So Noach is saying to God, here I'm throwing the crow. Let's see now, how you weren't so merciful about your kids like the crow. Let's see what's going on. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, and you were so perfect. For whatever amount of years that you're building the Tevah, did you pray for your people, or you just concentrate on yourself? So you be careful how you deal with God. You be very careful how you deal with God. Never blame him, ever. So the Zohar teaches us that on the other hand, Avraham Avinu tried to save even the wicked people of Sodom, Sodom and Gomorrah over there, whatever they did. He even tried to have mercy on them. And the Kabbalistic message is quite clear when it comes to deal with us. At the beginning, you need to wear. So why do we have Noach and then we have Avraham? Why do we have Noach? God should have made it that Avraham will be before Noach, and then we'll be fine. But the message is very, very clear. Just like in an airplane, when the stewardess used to come and tell you, in case of lost pressure, the mess will come in, and first you put it on yourself, and then you put it on the person next to you. The same thing in here. First, you have to build your own awareness, your own arc of your own awareness. And only after that, you're able to open a window in which you're going to take the dove out and send it to explore and find the world. The trick here, Rabotai, is not to run away from the world. The trick is to elevate the world. And I don't think that we as frum people do enough of that. We must learn all the time, but we also must go out to the world and act appropriately like Bnei Torah to the world, so the world will see the light in us. We should not hide from the world, but rather we should interact with the world and elevate it. And I think maybe one of the reasons that the world is in such place today is because we are not doing that well enough and hard enough. Thank you. So now, the message for our life is, right, every single day, it's maybe something you can take with you home now. Every single day, build yourself a small ark. In other words, prayer for you should be your refuge. Don't run out right before Tefillah. Don't miss davening even one time. Don't miss davening. Don't say, I forgot, I'll do it twice. You don't understand what prayer is all about. What prayer has to do with your own spiritual integrity and the structure of building a refuge for yourself. You want to reduce your level of anxiety? Come and pray for 7 minutes. Do a Shmona Esrei for 7 minutes. Build this quiet around you. You'll be able to face the world different and actually help the world and those around you. When you feel helpless, you get this anxiety attack. You can't breathe. You start having, hyperventilating because you feel you're out of control. One of the things I tell you to do is start doing breathing exercises. Breathing exercises will calm you down, will calm your spirit down. I'm not going to go into now Tai Chi versus, gymnastics, but it's all within it. Don't ever miss davening. Davening with a tzibur is even stronger. Why? Because you see that there's a lot of people around you that are doing the same thing. You get the power from internal strength and from the people around you. Davening by yourself, many times you can't do it because you fall into this anxiety. You start getting distressed. You start getting, out of track. It's very hard to pray by yourself into this level of tranquility that you can get with the power of the tzibur. That's why it's very important to keep quiet and be considerate of the people who pray. Don't say on your phone like that when the telephone rings. Turn off your phone. Put the phone down. Be a part of the tzibur. That will give you strength. And then you still within yourself, but you are part of something greater. You get strength from that. If I would have to attack you, right, by yourself will depend on the skills that you have and on my strength, not only on your strength. However, if you're a bunch of not so, strong people, by you standing together arm in arm, and you'll be able to push any bully out there in the world, it doesn't make a difference how strong it is. You 10 people, you're stirring it arm to arm, he cannot break you. That's the power that you get from the people around you. Don't miss Tefillah b'tzibur. I don't care what you do. There's nothing so important in the world that you're going to skip Tefillah b'tzibur. Nothing. Nothing. There's not enough a good reason. Oh, I gotta go. I have something rushed to do. I'll daven later. I gotta tell you, when you tell me that, I know you're not davening. I know you're not davening. You're not going to daven today. You're going to miss that tefillah. Oh, I have an appointment to make. Make the appointment later on. Right now you're talking to God. Right now you're talking to God. Don't run out. Be a part of the tzibur. Your tefillah should be sacred. You have anxiety. You have ADHD. Learn how to pray. You have fears. Learn how to pray. First of all, don't rush in your tefillah. Word by word. Take a deep breath. Slowly say the words. You'll find yourself all of a sudden in a different world. But you don't do it, and then you blame that you can connect to God. You never make an effort. You never made an effort. God does not answer my calls. Excuse me, did you ever pick up the phone and say, hey, Ribbon Shalom, I'm here? You're always busy. You're too busy for God also. Think about it. It's sad, but I'm giving you right now a tremendous tool to actually help you out, especially the time that we're at. So that's not only for davening, by the way. That refuge, even more powerful, is Torah. When you're learning Torah, you're learning Torah. You're privileged enough not to be a rabbi that has to serve the people, that doesn't have a moment of rest even when he's learning Torah. Because the people need you. You need to make yourself accessible. Right now, Baruch Hashem, some of you are not rabbis. Take advantage of it. Your Torah is sacred. I don't care if your father needs help from Costco to unload the car, to build a sukkah, to clean for Pesach. Right now you're learning. And Zman Kavua, that's your refuge. It's a stress reducer. It's a builder of character. You have a test, it doesn't make a difference. You're going to pass the test because you have confidence in it because of what you had done. Because you came to learn and you're learning. That will be your success in the test. Because if you're not going to go so, what's going to happen to you? You might know the material, but you have so much anxiety, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. And then you say, but I knew it. How did I fail? Because of that. Because you never built this ability to relax. So before that, you say, Ribbon Shalom, please help me. I need your help as much as I can. Even though I know it's not worthy, please help me. Hashem will help you. Because you build this communication with him. The lines of communication are always open, but you close them down and you let them rot, and then they fall apart. And that's very sad. So it's very important. The same thing is to develop the sense of love, of oneness. Not just lust. I'm talking about true love. Caring. It gives you meaning. It helps you be more in balance. Don't let that flood of this digital era that we're at sink your soul down. Don't let it do it. And remember, because after the rain, there's a rainbow. Remember the song, My Little Town? After a rain, there's always a rainbow, right? And the rainbow is a sign of covenant, a sign of hope, not a sign of immoral behavior. It's very sad. I saw an article that says, I'm very upset that those people who engage in whatever they engage, they took the most beautiful sign of hope and covenant between man and God, and balance between heaven and earth. Of balance between heaven and earth. Now, your batteries are done?
No.
Okay.
You're good.
Now, if we talk about the flood, I don't know if we should go to it, but if we go to the flood, the Kabbalah says that the flood came from the elevated water, from Mayim Elyonim. In other words, it wasn't just a physical punishment, but also a spiritual tikkun, fix-up. The water represents the quality of bina, which is intellect, bina, which is the so-called the mother of all mercy and also the source of din. And when the bina is unsettled, it kind of washes away everything that's in it, and all old structures are in its way in order to start new and to purify everything. That's what it is. So you don't want this flood to come, this tsunami to come. Hey, not a problem. Make sure your buildings or your structures stay pure. In a spiritual level, the mabul, the flood, is also a flood of emotions or flood of information and intellect and so on and so forth. When a person is full of too many thoughts, you always need to think, but too many thoughts, unsettled thoughts, things come to his head, this thought comes, and that thought comes, and this idea comes. Too many fears, sometimes too much knowledge. Sometimes ignorance is a bliss, but too much knowledge. Without the ability to process this knowledge, if you don't have the ability to process this knowledge, you would simply drown in that wave of different types of analysis and interpretations and so on and so forth, just like we have today. Today you go on the TV, on the radio, everybody's an expert on everything and knowing nothing about anything. They're always wrong. Expert says, they're usually wrong. But then somebody says, what the expert says, science says. How can I believe the rabbis if the rabbis were wrong and science is right? Excuse me, did you check how many times science was wrong? You don't give me these excuses. It's just because you don't want to do anything, because you're too lazy. You're spiritually fat. You're spiritually obese. You don't want to do anything. You're going to die spiritually. When you have all these things, the bina, the intellect, the bina means intelligence, like artificial intelligence. Right? Bina melachutit, artificial. Right? It's too much. You can't process it. It takes over you. Exactly like we have today. Exactly like we have today. Everybody today has this AI, the other one AI. People know the more intelligence, artificial intelligence, the dumber the people get. That by itself, intelligence is not really bad. Intellect is not really bad. Water by itself is not bad, because water could really purify, and we know we get purified by water. We go to the mikveh, right? It purifies, but not using water appropriately, you could drown. The chesed and din need to go in harmony together. When there's too much chesed, that will turn into din as well. For example, to drink water is good. And everybody tells you have to drink, 8 cups of water, 10 cups of water a day. What happened if I drink 30 cups a day? It's not good. What will happen to me? I'm gonna lose all minerals of my body, right? Electrolytes are going to be washed from my body. I'm going to overload my kidneys. I'm going to overload my prostate. I'm going to create pressure in my eyes. If you go to an eye doctor and he measures your pressure and then take a break, drink like 4 cups of water, wait a couple of minutes, it'll take your pressure. You see the pressure went up. Even that becomes din. You got to do everything in the right amount. Too much love of the mother, loving mother. Too much loving mother will turn into a din, because what will happen? The kid will become a bum. And then the din, judgment, will come upon him. It needs to be balanced. Who doesn't love his parents? Everybody loves your parents. But at a certain point, you got to say, Dad, Mom, I'm out of here. Because imagine you're 40 years old and you still mommy makes your bed. That's very sad. Still daddy will determine, you're 38 years old, daddy will determine who you marry, who you're not married. Daddy runs your life. That's not good. But daddy loves you. You're right. But at that point, that love, instead of chesed, turns into din. The purpose of the mabul is really to erase the internal chaos so the soul could rejuvenate from within anew as a pure entity, and so was the world. So the world could become pure and kind of heal itself by taking out all the bad elements. Now, I quickly want to talk about okay, you know what? I'm going to stop right now. Maybe we'll continue it next week. Maybe we'll continue this next week because it's very important for us to know. So, first of all, I wish to everybody a Shana Tova, and I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom, and we should all have a harmonious, peaceful, and rejuvenating Shabbat from this point on. Be'ezrat Hashem.
Amen.